Hi everyone, welcome to the Electric Supercar channel. Today we're going to be back on the Toyota. Last time we left off, we got this driving. We did a couple pulls in the parking lot, which was fun. We were able to break traction even in all-wheel drive. We've spent the last several months trying to get this truck electrified, but it wasn't ready for everything just yet.
Yeah, it's like it's in limp mode, but it's not giving you a fault.
Right, which is like weird. It did seem like we were dropping power. So after a short pull, we would drop power. 3, 2, 1. To 80. So basically after about, I'll say half second on the throttle, it kicks us out. We weren't quite sure why. So we're going to show you some of the troubleshooting processes we did and how we got this thing working. So we are taking the truck out for another drive. Still trying to figure out if we can solve the, I'm going to call it limp mode, even though it's not limp mode. So we're going to try it out. So our plan is just to goose it again, or trying to do anything different?
We're going to look for a different number for a drive power max. Right now it's 415. Last time when we had our limp mode issue, it was like an 80.
Yeah, so it dropped to 80. So just after we give it a little goose. So I think we'll try and give it a little goose, see if it does the same thing. The only thing we've really done different is shielded some of the accelerator pedal stuff. So hopefully that maybe does the trick, but we'll see. Give it a little goose here.
We had this fault when the fuse popped or whatever. We've had this fault when we were diagnosing things.
So for us, we needed to figure out why this was happening. The only way to do that though was to basically make it happen and record as much information as we could. So there is a logging feature with the motor controller that we have. So we did that. We also did lots of video and we did some CAN logging. It's here. All right, we are still having problems with the max drive power dropping. It's currently at 415 and just after a little throttle, it'll drop to 80. So we're just showing you that real quick. We're capturing both a T2C log as well as a CAN log. I'm gonna go ahead and do a log. Okay, here we go. And we're down. All right, so basically now you see max drive power is at 80. So we'll go ahead and stop the log. But we also captured it on cam. We are doing another test run. We're finding out that our Model 3 motor is accelerating too fast. That is because we have done a gear swap on the inside. Basically the controller kind of spoofs the motor, giving it wheel speed sensor information, not matching what we're doing. So I think we need to do call it like a configuration update. They did ask us to check one more thing. So we're doing a couple parking lot pulls just to see if we can make sure it's still misbehaving or behaving like we think. So here's another one. All right, 3, 2, 1. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Jesus. It's like violent.
That's pretty scary.
All right, that's enough fun for today. We had lots of people suggest that, hey, it seems like it's a traction control issue. I will say you're partially right. What we found out is that there is indeed a wheel speed sensor, I'll call it error. We don't have any wheel speed sensors. The way that the motor controller does this, the controller sends spoofed information to the motor saying, hey, wheel speed sensors are fine. What the motor controller did not know is we actually did a gear swap in this particular motor. So the output shaft spins about twice as fast as it does normally. I think in the thumbnail or title, I'm gonna say something like, motor spins too fast. That is not clickbait. That's actually what happened. That's why we're getting the air mode, is when we were pushing on the accelerator pedal, the motor was spinning so quickly that it said, hey, the wheel speed sensors don't match, meaning it thought the wheels were going a lot slower than the motor, and so it would kind of cut power. With a lot of trial and error and help with the motor controller company, we did get this figured out, and they did give us a new file to upload. Okay, so we got 415. Give it a little goose here. Yeah. Still good? Still 415?
Yeah, you should be able to just do it again.
Yeah, it smells like we did it.
Smells like rubber.
So now that we got the motor working, which is like amazing, we need to do a couple cleanup things to get this more complete. I recently reviewed a product I want to share with you. Ottocast. This is the P3 Pro. This is a specific device for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. This is for those cars that have it, but you have to plug in. This makes it now wireless. Let's go try it out. All right, so you got necessary cables to connect everything, and this tells you how to do it all. So on the back side here, it's got a little switch. You see it's got AA or CP, so that's for CarPlay or Android Auto. So this one supports both. All right, so this is Apple CarPlay on the device. We are tethered, so we have to be tethered for this one. We've got a new device here, the Ottocast, and we're gonna try that, and this should give us wireless. All right, so now I think everything's recognized, so that's lit up, and now we'll go ahead and push CarPlay. All right, so we've got this hooked up now. Yay! So this has got now Google Maps. Again, we can go to hotels or wherever.
Restaurants near me.
All right, well, we got it. It does connect with the phone, so if we do the phone, it'll bring up contacts. All right, there we are. Hey, we can watch YouTube in here. All right, so you can see that it kind of is like a tablet inside your car. It can rely on Wi-Fi hotspot, or you can actually get a separate SIM card with your mobile carrier, and that can allow you to kind of have this display in your car act like a tablet. So if you want to upgrade your wired experience for a wireless experience, I'll leave a link in the video description below. When this vehicle came to us, the windshield was actually held on with packaging tape, so clear packaging tape. So we had to remove the packaging tape. We were actually able to use the same windshield, but we had to get it kind of professionally installed. I designed a gear selector that somewhat looks like a manual stick shift. The goal with this is we have a couple sensors that really need to detect if the gear lever is forward, in neutral, or reverse. For that, I just use some reed switches. So the reed switches, they'll actually switch when a magnet is nearby. I just placed the switches in 3 different positions that would correlate to drive, neutral, reverse, wherever the gear shifter was, and placed a magnet on the stick shift. So did all that up in CAD, did some 3D prints, everything looked good, so we ordered the parts and began assembly.
So we have our 3D printed test pieces. So with our shifter, we have about 4 or 5 main components. So, and then we also have the brains of the operation, which is this guy. We got these pieces from Send Cut Send. Well, we have to weld a couple of these seams up. We are working on the shifter. See that sucker? It's close. Okay, viewers, check this out. You ready? Boom, here's your shifter, okay? Look, I got my back piece on, and we got our bottom piece on. So then we just put these guys like so. Boom, check that out. So this guy mounts to our surfboard. It goes about there. But before we do that, we need to mount like this, and then we gotta tack them in place because we gotta weld it.
Do it is like this one goes like this, and then that, see how that goes like right like that? See how it's like not the right way?
Okay, so this guy goes like so. Our goal with the shifter was to have it feel like a real shifter, almost like a manual shifter, but still be able to control, to shift into drive and reverse and neutral. So should be good. Boom, check that out. Now it's still freaking hot. Hold on, calibrating, look at that thing. Still 150 freaking degrees. Worst case scenario, just grind it off. It's not that bad. And I'll put it like so. And check that out. All right, so that's all mounted. Comes on top. You gotta be very careful. Drive, neutral, and reverse. And it's got a nice clunk to it. Like that's not going anywhere. Like so. That'll be a pretty awesome shifter. Plus it'll look like a manual gearbox or something instead of just like a push button. So yeah, it'll be sweet.
All right, so today we're gonna be painting the gear selector that we made. So we've got these all welded up, test fit, everything seems to function. So we're gonna go ahead and do a layer of the truck bed liner, kind of get a nice matte black look, maybe a little bit of texture, and then that'll be ready to install. Alright, so we've got our gear selector in. That's reverse. That's forward drive. This is neutral. So that's looking good. We've also added a USB port here, and we're going to be using this. So this is a draggy, so we're going to do some 0 to 60 times. So we are doing a couple last changes. John's getting the horn working. That was a pretty simple fix, but other than that, we got the gear shifter in, got a makeshift display. We're still finalizing some of the indicators. Oh, it's a little dusty. So once we got to this point, we really wanted to take it out on the street. This thing had not been registered in a while, so we actually needed to take it to the DMV to get it registered and to make sure it was considered an electric car, not a gas car. Right, just arrived here at the DMV, so we're gonna get the Toyota registered so we can start driving it around. I always feel weird about filming in the DMV, but I kind of just put the camera on myself, and here's a little bit of the audio.
You too.
Is there any other VIN inspection or anything? We're good? All right.
Said on the phone we needed one, and since there was a Utah title, we got it cleared.
Okay. Nothing too exciting. Everything kind of went pretty smooth, in and out in about 10 or 15 minutes, and everything's registered. So this guy is good to be on the road. All right, so we took it on the freeway. We're good up to freeway speeds. It does kind of sound like a Toyota truck. It's kind of bouncy and a little bit loud like a tin can, but I love it. I've really loved the regenerative braking. The one pedal driving is great. It's got pretty heavy regen. Obviously we can dial that in. I like the heavy regen. I thought it'd be fun to take it to the gas station. Nope. No more. Let's go find a charge station. All right, we are just pulling into the electric vehicle charging stations. So we're gonna see if we can do a public charge. You can never be too careful with your electrons. Gotta lock them up. Let's see if it's working. Boom, baby.
Boom, charging. Sweet.
We're just chilling in the truck while we charge a little bit. Just want to make sure that you can do public charging. All right, so it is pretty cool because you got some, like, I'll say normal electric cars. You've got, this is an Equinox. On the other side, we've got a Ford F-150 Lightning. And then we've got the Toyota. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn off the public charging here. We're gonna go back home. There we go. So the acceleration is, it's wild for something like this. It's pretty quick. I think I've got some acceleration we did when it was still a gas engine. So we'll probably put a quick video of that here. 0 to 60, Russ says 4.2, probably in the 4s. I'll say it pulls really hard. I'll say like 0 to 30. Once you get up to like 40, 50, it kind of tapers off. To try and make sure everything was safe, we got to a road where the speed limit was 60 miles an hour, and we wanted to check the driveline, make sure that nothing was loose or everything looked good. So we actually pulled off to the shoulder, and we thought, what a great way to kind of check 0 to 60 is we needed to merge, and we want to merge quickly, get up to speed of traffic. So that's what we did.
Ready? We are ready.
30. 60. 30.
This picks up speed pretty quick. So like 0 to 30 is about 2 seconds. Again, this is in the middle of winter. Can kind of see some of the snow blowing across the road. And we got kind of big old knobby tires. I think we could probably, if we wanted to be serious about kind of acceleration, we could probably get some sticky tires, wait for some summer weather, probably knock at least half second off that. So for 0 to 60, this is a 5-second car. Just for comparison, I'll show you some other cars that are also kind of in the same acceleration range. So I did some quick research just to give you some context on speed 0 to 60 for some pretty quick cars. What is it? Aston Martin DB7 Vantage, the Ferrari 308 GTB, the Porsche 928S, Porsche 911 Carrera 964, and the Ferrari Testarossa. So those are all some quick cars. This one's right there with them. After the 0 to 60 driving, we just did some good old winter driving. We need to get some miles on this to see if there are any other problems that need to shake out. So here's some video of us doing some driving. Yes, the heat works. Yes, the AC works. Defrost works. Everything's driving really well. So again, we're getting excited. This is getting closer to deliver to the customer. We still need to do some range testing as well as some off-roading. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. That'll do it for this time. See you next time.